Hi, this is Oshi and this is going to be my more in-depth review of the Muse Tarot after a while that I worked with it, because this was part of my spring season deck collection for this year. There's gonna be timestamps down below in the comments, no, in the description, and I will go through what my experience was with the box, the booklet, the cards, the cardstock, how it paired with other decks. So if you want to, jump around, you can see each section. So let's get started. Let's start with the box. The box is the usual two-piece box for this mass market edition. I don't have the indie, but that's completely fine. I think the mass market for her decks is really cool. It's sturdy, it's easy to store, it doesn't take up too much space, so we like that. Next one is the let's keep with the list that I have. Cardstock. So these are the cards. Cardstock is good. I think it feels like for me that it's thinner, although it's hard to tell, but I can tell in person that it's thinner than the light Sears Tarot, which I don't mind actually, because I like this cardstock more than the mass market for the light Sears. It's a bit too thick for me. That's my only problem with that deck. For this, I think the cardstock was well chosen and well made. It shuffles well. I'm not a riffle shuffler, but when I sometimes do that, it shuffles well. It shuffles nicely over hands, so no complaint about cardstock. Next one, the guidebook. So this deck is about inspiring you to create something. So the guidebook reflects that very well. It's more, I think it's more like, connecting to the Muse than doing normal readings. There's a greeting to the Muse, what the Muse is according to Chrisanne, and how she imagined this whole experience would be. There's an accompanying audio track and music that you can find on the side. I haven't wandered or used this deck too much around in the realm of the Muse Tarot enough to check that out, which kind of foreshadows what my experience with this deck is. But she explains about the changes very well, because she changed the suits. There are wands are inspiration, cups are emotion, swords are voices, and pentacles are materials, which is, I think, it's very fitting. There are no spreads in the guidebook, but that kind of makes sense, because this deck wants you to get inspired and get out of your set ways and create something new. So it would kind of be going against that notion if she would provide you with spreads, because she encourages you to come up with something for yourself. Now, this deck is, I think, for those type of creative people who are into fabrics and the material fashion-y style of things, which I am not, but it's not, so I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that I'm not able to judge this deck as well, because I realized that it's not for me. Even though I love some cards of it, some I just don't love. About the cards and what I did, because what my problem with this deck was that even though there are cards that I really like this tower, I like the tower, I can't explain why, but this works very well for me. But there are cards like the, of course I didn't manage to find it in time, but I'm going to. The Queen of Swords. Where is the Queen of Swords? That has a lady. I should have, you know, did the sorting through beforehand, but it was a very impromptu decision to make this video right now, so you have to watch me find that card. So here it is. For example, this one is something that I don't get anything out of. Her description for the card is, I'm gonna show you because I'm a bit lazy around here, is someone who's ready to take you know, charge, move around, move ahead, or something like that. But okay, where the hell is the card? I'm sorry, I'm not a professional. Voices, we have the voices, Queen of Voices, and there are prompts in each card that you can use for creative projects, which is cool. But it, you know, it she has the usual description for what we generally understand as the Queen of Swords, but it kind of suggests that this card is in motion, but it's not for me. I mean, I don't see her as, you know, someone who's moving ahead. And when I look at this card, I don't get anything intuitively from it, besides, of course, Raven's messages and, you know, what I know. I don't get extra out of it, which for me is necessary. I realized that it's necessary to work with a deck. And the other day I made 3 piles because I was curious, you know, if I was just too hang up on a few cards that, you know, wasn't working for me, and that prevented me from reaching for this deck, because I love the aesthetic. When I look at it, and I look at it on Instagram, I really love how it, you know, looks, and this is my absolute favorite card. I love this High Priestess, and it's one of my all-time favorite High Priestesses. But there are cards like this, 9 of Materials, that doesn't really give me the 9 of Pentacles feeling. Or 3 of Cups. It's beautiful, and I can kinda make something out of it, but it's not, you know, it's forcing the meaning, and I can't work with a deck when I have to do that. And when I did that 3 pile sorting, 1 pile for, you know, cards that doesn't work for me at all, 1 that's kind of working, and 1 that is actually really working, the 3 pile were pretty much the same size, and for 1 deck that's too much. And the other thing is, we have the Kings, but not Kings, but instead of the Kings we have the Muses, and these are the cards that I get nothing pretty much out of. Not just, I mean, it's bothering me in a reading that this, the orientation is different, because I have a thing for, you know, what it's called, oh god, I'm not going to find the word. Symmetry, that's the word I'm looking for. So I have a thing for symmetry, and when I pull, you know, 3 cards and 2 of them like this, and then I, you know, try to have to, you know, put it somewhere else, and it could be that, you know, it opens you up to, you know, think outside of the box, but I'm an Aquarius, I don't like change, I don't like that. And even though I like thinking outside of the box, this is not working for me. Which I wasn't sure that it would bother me. For a 1 card pool, it doesn't, because, you know, you orient the card as you want to. But for multiple cards, it's just not something that works for me. But that's okay. It doesn't, you know, not everything has to work for everyone. You just have to know who you are, how you read, and that way you can be more selective about the decks you're picking up. Okay, next point, how it pairs with other decks. Now, this one pairs very nicely with the decks that I was using for spring. One of them is the Flower Petals Affirmation deck, because I don't know, it's very different in a way that this deck, the Affirmation deck, is, you know, more simple and white, and maybe not seems at first that it is working well with the cards, but I mean, I wanna have her here. But because this deck, the Muse Tarot, has a lot of flowers in it as well, it worked, and the messages were working as well. But that was just something that I used sometimes with this deck. I really hope I'm in screen, because I can't remember. The other one that I was using a lot was the Green Witch Oracle, and that also works very well. Of course, it's upside down. Professionals, that's where we are, because if you look at it, it kind of, you know, matches colors and whatever, so aesthetically it works very nicely. And because this one has nice keywords, the focus with the Four of Pentacles, it gives you a very nice reading. So if you have this deck, have both decks, this pairing works very well, especially for spring, because of the springish feeling that I get from both decks. Probably it's because of the back as well. The other one that I was using it with was from Crescent Sacred Creators Oracle, which is not surprising because, you know, it's from the same creator, so it just matches the colors, the style, and the keywords. So definitely a pairing that if you're into this, if this inspires you, and I think you're able to tell it just by walking, you know, checking a walkthrough. My fault was that I was picking this up for the High Priestess, and you shouldn't do that. No surprise there. But as you can, you know, see, the colors are very, very much matching aesthetically, and if this floats your boat, then this will float your boat as well, and together they will, you know, work awesomely. Something else that I was sometimes using, because this is a very, you know, trusted oracle, the Wisdom of the Oracle, another deck that works well, even though it's a different style of collage. Both are collages, and for some reason that just works in this case. So I think this deck highlights the fabrics and the textured part of the Wisdom of the Oracle. I mean, the Real Unfinished Symphony. So the readings are very nice with the within these two decks. And the last one, let's put some cards back here, is the When My Soul Whispered Oracle. Now this is a completely different style. It's watercolor, it's more clean, it's more minimalistic, but because of that, it's still, I mean, Desire the Lovers. You know, they play well together. Two of Voices with Determination. So the keywords for shore work, and if you look at how they match with the love and the material, Ten of Materials, which is legacy, and that sort of love that goes through generations for me. It just works. So this is also something that if you have the deck and you want to use it, consider picking this one up as well. Okay, so these are the pairs that I use them with. The next one is how unique it is, and could I replace it? Well, it's quite unique, but It's not like I can replace it, but I know I won't keep it because it's, like I said, it's not working for me. So in a sense, I don't think I have anything like this in my collection, though I have collage decks, because I kind of feel like this is a collage deck. And you know, if I were to pick up a deck from Chrisanne, I would use the Light Seers, because that's just, you know, that's one of my go-to decks. So even though it's not that unique even though it is unique in my collection, it's something that's not going to stay, which is, I think, fine, because I'm not saying this is a bad deck. I'm just saying that it's too specific in a way that I can't use it. So last question, did my initial impression feeling hold up? Not really, because I was excited for using it and I thought that I could, you know, use it. I absolutely assumed that just the images will inspire me and invoke something in me. And though that part about, you know, the Muse cards, that held up, because I was having concerns about a sideways card, and yeah, that's just not, I don't think that if you have a deck oriented, you know, this way, having a few cards that are oriented the opposite way is a good idea, but that's just my personal thing, I guess. So yeah, like I said, final thoughts, it's not a bad deck, but I think you have to know that it's specific, because if this is not for you, you know, if you don't get anything out of different materials, which are very pretty, and you know, if you're not connected to fashion in a way that I am not connected to it, then doesn't she look like Olsen, oh god, I forgot her name, the Scarlet Witch, you know, the tiny Olsen, not the twin Olsen. But whatever. So if you don't get inspired by these type of images, then I don't think it's going to work for you. But if you do, then I think it's, you know, wonderful, and I would love to hear if you have it and if you use it. How does it inspire you? Because I'm quite curious. I would like to see a reading where someone is using that and using this deck and getting a lot out of it. So if if you know about a reading like that, or you have one, please post the link down below or link me on my social media, because like I said, I would like to see that. I won't keep the deck, but I'm still curious about how it works for people who, you know, for people who it works for. Oh, that was hard. So yeah, sorry, this was my little jumbled experience with the deck. Hope this is helpful in any way, and I hope I made it clear that I'm not saying, you know, this is a bad deck. I know I have to stress that, because people tend to get emotional and defensive about things they love. So please know that I'm not saying anything bad about this deck. It took the creator, a lot of time, and you can see that there's effort went into it. It's just not my thing, and that should be okay, right? So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye.